Here we have the whole beef tenderloin, and if we look at the overall shape of this muscle, you notice it's a little different than most of the muscles we've been dealing with in subprimals. Looking at it, we have a bigger end and a smaller end. This bigger end we typically refer to as a butt end or the head. As we move down this center section, we would typically refer to as the barrel. Then the tail is the most narrow tapering end. 3 muscles make up the whole beef tenderloin. The main body is the psoas major, the tenderloin muscle. The chain muscle is a side muscle here that we'll remove. And then the ear muscle, or the iliacus muscle, is another side muscle that will seam out and cut steaks from it. So in fabrication of the beef tenderloin, we'll take this down to 3 individual muscles. Again, fabrication of the tenderloin, at first we will trim this down to a steak-ready subprimal once again. To do that, first thing we'll do is skin or remove the heavy portion of the silver skin from the top side of the subprimal. We'll then separate the chain or the psoas minor off this side, and we'll also separate the ear or the thumb from this portion of the tenderloin. So we'll start here by removing the heaviest portion of the silver skin over the top. And we actually have machines that will do this for us, to take that off all at once. Now that we've opened that up, you can see the chain muscle runs parallel to the entire body of the tenderloin. The chain muscle is smaller, it has a little more connective tissue in it. There's a little fat seam and connective seam tissue between the two, so we will remove that. Front portion of the chain muscle, you can see a bigger portion of the muscle here that has more value. We actually use this. We'll trim this down. This is where the mixed grill portion comes from. The 3 ounce or 1.5 ounce mixed grill pieces come from the head of that chain that we just removed from the tenderloin. So we'll trim all the connective tissue off the outside surface of that portion, and this is what's left, and we'll portion 3 ounce or 1.5 ounce pieces from that. So that would be your mixed grill piece. The remainder of the chain, along with the other trimmings coming off the tenderloin, are used for grinding and are used in your burger application. We're left with a chain off tenderloin. We still have some silver skin, some connective tissue we need to trim here. Trim some fat here between the ear or the thumb and the body of the tenderloin. And what we'll do now that we've opened this seam up, is we'll split. There's a seam that runs through here, and we'll separate the thumb or the ear portion away from the body of the tenderloin. So right here we'll go in and make that separation. Now we have the entire body intact here, along with the thumb muscle here. Put this to the side for the second. We'll work up the thumb muscle here. Again, we'll trim the heaviest portions of the silver skin and connective tissue off of this. We'll actually utilize this for a steak. So again, we'll take, just like anything, we'll take a face cut, square that off, get a good 1.5 inch diameter here. 1.5 inches is what we need on the face of all these tenderloin cuts to be considered a center cut item. And then we'll cut 1 steak out of this. This would be a 6 ounce steak from that ear muscle. We still have, now we have some silver skin here that we exposed when we removed the ear muscle. We'll trim that down. Down to the belly of the tenderloin, we'll trim any fat that's over 1/8 of an inch or any loose, what we may consider shingles. Sometimes when removing this from the bone, the packer may loosen some of these, and we can call these shingles. We'll remove anything that's loose there. On a fat trim standpoint, we're kind of looking for a non-continuous layer of fat. We don't want to trim all the fat off because that fat does cook very well and adds some flavor to the steak itself, but we don't want to leave all the fat on there. So we're looking for something that's non-continuous, broken up, almost a salt and pepper type of appearance to it. we can see lean and fat intermixed all the way through. So here now, we have the body of the tenderloin that's ready for portioning. Again, we'll take our face cut, needing to meet at least 1.5 inch cut surface diameter there, and then we'll begin portioning. As we get towards the tail, you'll notice these steaks start to get a little taller. This is where the 3.5 to 4 inch maximum specs come into play. This will be the last steak here. You can see it gets taller. It's also a little softer in texture. It's a steak that probably needs a little more shaping prior to going on the grill. And then we're left with approximately a 3-ounce tail. Here's the resultant products of the fabrication of the whole beef tenderloin. We had a pile of trim, we moved that away, the trimming being used in grinding for your burger application. Here we have one steak that we cut from the ear or thumb portion that we seamed away from the body of the tenderloin. We have the mixed grill portions that come from the head of the chain of the tenderloin, this being a 3-ounce and a 1.5 ounce portion, and also the tail portion of the tenderloin that could also be used in the mixed grill application. The remaining steaks here are all from the body of the tenderloin, starting from here, what would have been the head of the tenderloin, working all the way down through the barrel, and eventually to the tail of the tenderloin. You can see this last steak, a little taller in appearance, a little softer in texture.